Yeah, my first question that I asked to myself is, why do we need to know India? Or do we really not know? We are all Indians, and we're born and brought up with all, whether we believe in God or not, whether we believe in certain practices in India or not, but we all are essentially Indians. We have those values, those samskaras in us. So why is there a need to know India? And in your motto of to believe and to know, why is that emphasis? Now, we get answers from various gurus, from Swamiji also we have got the answers. But I bring to you here the reasons I found for myself. Sri Aurobindo says, India has always existed for humanity and not for herself. And it is for humanity and not for herself that she must be great. So one of the reasons, as I understand, that we need to know our country is for the humanity, not just for the sake of India and being Indian, because that is the demand perhaps of every citizen of every nation, that they should know the country well. However, the need for humanity, that we should know Indian culture. Next, Sri Aurobindo himself writes, India is the guru of the nations, the physician of the human soul in its profounder maladies. She is destined once more to new mold the life of the world and restore the peace of human spirit. I brought these two lines from Sri Aurobindo. Of course, Swamiji also has mentioned that India is the guru of the nations, guru of the world. But to bring out this, that India is becoming the guru of the world. We are witnessing it almost every day. In every field we are leading, whether it's science and technology, whether it's peace, whether it's UNO or it's G20 summit, anything, are being given important positions. But when Sri Aurobindo says the physician of the human soul in its profounder maladies, that means there is a spiritual solution, there is a deeper solution that lies with India. And that is what India stands for. It is not just for its technological advancements, it's not just for its outer development that we are doing and we will keep doing. But there is something much profounder, there is much deeper in India that it can offer to the world. Now, how do we understand a culture? And very rightly, Aishi had curled out this quotation, which was actually, I had discussed with her, the center of my deliberation today, my study today, is how do we understand ourselves? Is what Sri Aurobindo says we can understand a culture or a nation. So he writes, the nation or society, like the individual, has a body, an organic life, a moral and aesthetic temperament, a developing mind and a soul behind all these signs and powers for the sake of which they exist. So what we have to understand, what Sri Aurobindo is saying here is the nation or the culture is almost parallel to a human being. As a human being, we have a soul, mind, life, and body. In fact, in the very next sentence, Sri Aurobindo says, it is not that we have a soul, rather we are a soul. We are a soul which has mind, body, and life. Similarly, nation is a soul which has a mind, body, and life. Or in simpler terms, he says it has body and mind, which includes life as well. Later we'll see. So that is a beautiful parallel. And further, he says it is not as easy to understand the nation. Of course, it is not easy to understand a human being either, the levels and all. But still, it is even more complex to understand a nation because it is too much of interpolation, too many aspects coming together. It's a group soul, and so it is difficult to identify one. But we have to remember, when we say Bharat Shakti, when we say Bharat Mata, we already personify Bharat Mata. We already make it into a Devi. And obviously, a Devi means she has some power. And that is what we need to tap in each one of the Indians, in each of the activities that we do, that we realize that we are a soul. As a nation, we are a soul. Now, next, the three parameters, as we discussed earlier, through which we can understand any culture for that matter, Sri Aurobindo says, is the harmony between spirit, mind, and body. A culture is to be valued to the extent to which it has discovered the right key of this harmony between spirit, mind, and body. So, what is the spirit, mind, and body of India? How do we identify it? When we say that we have a mind, how do we identify it? We have thoughts, we have ambitions, we have ideas, we try to logically arrange things, we try to reason out things, analyze things. That's the part of our mind. As well as, of course, in this mind is included, as I said initially, the emotions. We have feelings, angers, passion, love. So everything included there. Similarly, body. We all have physical body, and without the physical body, nothing can manifest. And what is this physical body of the nation? We will see in a while. But we all know that we have a physical body, which is the base, which is the adhar, on which the mind, emotion, spirit is manifesting on the basis of these. So we will see it further. Now, Sri Aurobindo says spirituality is the master key of Indian mind. And by spirituality, he does not mean that we are all pujaris or we are all those people who just sit in meditation. We have indeed a large number of people, great yogis, great gurus, who have delved deep into meditation, found gems from there, have taken to nirvana or moksha. But that's not all. Spirituality in India penetrates much deeper. What does spirituality mean for us? Sri Aurobindo simplifies it. He says that Indian mind from the very beginning knew that whatever is apparently visible, whatever is physically visible, is not the be all and end all. There is a certain relation of the supraphysical with the physical. So unless we understand the supraphysical, for instance, when I was reasoning how this can be analyzed with an example, say for instance, sun. For us in India, sun is not just a mass of hydrogen, which is giving light every day, through which the plants produce chlorophyll, etc. It is a symbol of God for us. It is a symbol of something that enlightens us. So it has a spiritual reality for us. It does have, India does have. There are other cultures who do believe in sun culture, but still India very potentially from the Vedic times has been believing in this. Similarly, for us, whatever is superficial cannot be explained without the complexity of life. Say we talk about any small ritual at home. We usually, if you listen to our elderly people at home, they will give us an entire long story of the parampara of why this happened, that happened, etc., etc. So there is a wholeness of life in everything that we do. And that, of course, comes from what Dr. Manmohan Vaidya had spoken in his talk previously about that we have this multiple expressions of the same one divine. And Sri Aurobindo does mention that this is the quality of our culture, that we believe that there is one and we believe that there is multiple expression of the same one. So that is where we practice it in day-to-day life. Similarly, we also believe very, very potentially that there is another power that is unknown to us, that is greater than us, that is more powerful than us, which is governing the human beings and this earth and this planet. So we do not think that we human beings are the be all and end all. There are some cultures, there are certain beliefs which believe that man is everything, man knows everything, that we have reached the moon and the Mars and we know everything. But Indians have been very humble in this. They know that whatever we have discovered is not even a speck of sand as compared to what still remains undiscovered. So that kind of a belief we've had. So this is the spiritual master key, as Sri Aurobindo says. Next, now we see this is the soul, spirituality as the soul, as the center of our lives. Second is the stupendous vitality and inexhaustible power of life. Now here comes vitality, life, as we were saying, emotions, everything together comes here. Stupendous vitality, and Sri Aurobindo does mention, I would like to read in what all fields we have mastered. I would be happy if everybody listens to this very carefully. For 3,000 years at least, it is indeed much longer. She has been creating abundantly and incessantly, lavishly, with an inexhaustible many-sidedness, republics and kingdoms and empires, philosophies and cosmogonies, and sciences and creeds, and arts and poems, and all kinds of monuments, palaces and temples, and public works, communities and societies and religious orders, laws and codes and rituals, physical sciences, psychic sciences, systems of yoga, systems of politics and administration, arts, spiritual, arts, worldly, trades, industries, fine crafts, the list is endless. And in each item, there is almost a plethora of activity, right, Sri Aurobindo? So these are the activities that we see on the life level, on what we've been doing. We have had wonderful trading systems, commerce, wonderful scientific systems. So all that we have, the systems in place, even our society is one of the most systematic society on the entire earth, perhaps, where we have, the Chatur Varnas being defined. Now it has become a kind of taboo. It has deteriorated, deviated from its meaning. But the Chaturvarna system by itself, the philosophical system, had a great value, had great importance. Similarly, we've had scientific treatise on Earth, on planets, on their movements, on mathematics, on physics, on everything. We have Shastras on how to sculpt, how to paint, how to dance, on everything. So Shastras, of course, would come in strong intellectuality, but to this list, as Sri Aurobindo says, is inexhaustible, because we've had so much of life energy in us that we kept on producing, and this life energy came because we believed in the one power of the Supreme. So each one, each artist, each musician, each physicist kept on expressing that infinite in infinite numbers. So that is the stupendous vitality of India. And then strong intellectuality. Sri Aurobindo says we have dharma and shastra for everything, everything from the biggest to the smallest, from every ceremony written in detail, from the, as we know, the Pak Shastra, the culinary art written in detail, the Natya Shastra written in detail, to the extent Sri Aurobindo himself mentions that the training of the horses and elephants also, all the 64 kalas and much more, has been so well logically documented. It is not a random documentation or a random notation of whatever was being done. It is a proper Shastra giving guidelines. We always talk about Aristotle's poetics, which has given systematic guidelines of how a theater should be. But similar things we have in India, and many more numbers in many more fields. So, friends, what I want to here emphasize is that spirituality is the center of Indian life, which is expressed in its life, vitality, in its artistic expressions, in its literature, in its spiritual expressions. So that is the way we can understand Indian culture. That is one of the parameters. I have brought two more, but this is one of the parameters that we understand. We can understand India if we want to know what this Bharat Shakti is, how has India been expressed. So this is I find very fascinating, because when I sit down to understand Indian culture or any part of it, whether it's dance or music or even a kolam art or rangoli art or a mehendi art, anything, we can understand this because the qualities. Now, I have not brought the qualities here, but Sri Aurobindo has given the qualities. For instance, he makes a statement here that if you see the ancient temples in the south of India, if you see, say, Halibid, Belur temples, the Hoysala works, there every inch has been very beautifully carved. Every inch on the temple, from outside to the inside, it's beautifully carved on granite, which is one of the most difficult things to carve on. But they've done a wonderful job. And when some Western visitors came to India, some Western critics came to India, they said, oh, India doesn't understand how to use spaces. They're just overcrowding everything around them. But Sri Aurobindo says, you people feel that it is overcrowding perhaps, but for India, it is the overflowing infinity that they want to express. Because as I said, we believe that the divine is one, expressions are infinite, and so are infinite expressions on the wall, on the rocks, on the paintings, everywhere that we do is infinite. So that is where we see next time we go to any temple, any monument, we will be able to see this stupendous vitality, this strong intellectuality. Now, another parameter that I felt would be interesting quickly to understand our culture is wisdom, strength, harmony, and perfection. Broadly speaking, we are not making watertight compartments, but broadly speaking, these are the four, uh, I would say, directions or the north, south, east, west of Indian temperament. So usually the wisdom is represented by the south, where we have had so many acharyas. Of course, not demeaning, discounting that we had so much of Kashmir Shaivism already in Kashmir in north, but temperamentally we are speaking here. Wisdom belongs to south, strength to north, because there have been so many invasions, so many military regiments had, from the very beginning of the time, there were a lot of military regiments there because they had to protect the boundaries. So temperamentally, they all became strong fighters. The Kshatriya quality came in them. Then harmony. In Sri Aurobindo's terms, harmony deals with beauty and wealth, a lot of business, commerce, etc. And we know the western part of the country deals entirely with the, especially Rajasthan, Gujarat. These places are considered the hub of Indian economy. So that is where harmony comes in, and perfection in art and music and literature is towards the side of the eastern part of the country. So that is where we can again understand India in these four ways: wisdom, strength, harmony, perfection. Now the last, of course, but not the least, I'm rushing it through because I thought we should not be late in finishing what we are doing. Now, these three things, we all know: liberty, equality, fraternity was the slogan that created the French Revolution, or was given after the French Revolution was over. And that has reigned the world after that French Revolution was over. But Sri Aurobindo has a beautiful understanding of these three terms. He says liberty is something that was tried out by the Western world, especially America, USA. They always stood for freedom, any kind of freedom, but they stood for it first and foremost after this slogan was given. Equality was something that was tried out by the Eastern nations, China, Japan, maybe some part of Russia, where socialism came into existence, where at one point of time they tried following. Europe also to a certain extent was following socialism, where equality was of the most highest importance, more than liberty, perhaps equality. But Sri Aurobindo says to all this, the binding factor is fraternity. And fraternity is not just brotherhood. It we very easily translate it into brotherhood, but it is a brotherhood which is based on the fact that we all are one. We all are the children of the same divine, that Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam does exist, that the saying, the philosophy, the practice of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam happens in India, or is given out in India, because of the very belief, the realization that the divine is one, and we are all one. We all exist in the divine. We are a part of the divine, and we are potentially divine. So this fraternity can come through India. This fraternity can be brought in by India, because we are the ones who fully believe, each one of us believe, that we are a part of the one divine. And when we start practicing it, when we realize, the day we realize that we are all souls, sister souls, brother souls, then this fraternity will come, and it will bind the entire world. It will really make Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam happen. So that is where lies the future of all the world. And now that is what Sri Aurobindo says. So with India rests the future of the world. Whenever she is aroused from her sleep, She gives forth some wonderful shining ray of light to the world, which is enough to illuminate the nations. Others live for centuries on what is to her the thought of a moment. God gave to her the book of ancient wisdom and bade her keep it sealed in her heart until the time should come for it to be opened. Sometimes a page or a chapter is revealed, sometimes only a single line, a single sentence. Such sentences have been the inspiration of ages and fed humanity for many hundreds of years. And this can be a very, very beautiful potential topic of research for us as to what are those sentences which have inspired the world, which has inspired the nations, which have become the foundation of many religions and nations. So we have seen in India itself that when some gurus base themselves on Isha Upanishad, or some base themselves on one line from Vedas or something, a huge cult, a huge religious philosophy has come up. In India itself, we have seen this. And the world, of course, Sri Aurobindo does mention that even Buddhism that went out from India, it has invaded almost the eastern part of the world. So, based on what Gautam Buddha gave us, the enlightenment that he gave us, the realization that he gave us, has conquered the world spiritually. So to end with the mother's words, because if you know the mother of Sri Aurobindo Ashram, she knew that her soul was, she was born in France, but she said, I knew that my soul was much Indian, much akin to an Indian, and I felt India is my country, she said. So she was the spiritual collaborator of Sri Aurobindo, and she writes, true spirituality is not to renounce life, but to make life perfect with divine perfection. This is what India must show to the world now. Why I brought this up as an ending slide is because we started with spirituality. We said that India is essentially a spiritual country, expressing her spirituality through art, through intellectual shastras, dharmas. So we live life, we think, our thought process is all centered around spirituality, whether we know it or not. What is our strength? It is spirituality. But spirituality not to renounce life, but he says spirituality to perfect life, to make life perfect on the earth. And that is where I feel all of us as Indians can contribute to bring perfection in each one of our lives, in our work, in our homes, in our country, in the work that we do. And this is what India must show to the world, says the mother. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak. And if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thanks a lot, Shruti ji. That was very insightful. I'm sure it will spark an interest in us and encourage us to dig deeper into the topic. I thank you a lot for sharing your time and knowledge with us.